Greetings. Look, I got one person. I'm trying to fix some stuff, so give me a minute while people are still trying to come in for the live, guys. Greetings. Hey, love. Hey, Ashley. How you doing, sis? I had one way of live streaming all set up, and then um, got a message from YouTube that I could not live stream from my mobile device. So it's like, oops, okay, now I gotta reverse, reroute, re-strategize. Okay, we got 3 people. I'm still trying to pull up some stuff, guys. Give me a second. I'm glad you guys are tuned in because I plan on dropping some jewels today. Okay, let's see how this is gonna work. I wrote a script, like I'm so forgetful, like I'm not gonna even lie. I'm forgetful. And if I don't write it down, I won't remember. So I had to write a little script of notes. And I guess I'm going to try and go live on IG too. Just for a second. I hope everybody is having a black-tastic Sunday. A black-tastic Sunday. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Okay, saying I'm live on IG. Let's see. Now the lighting behind me, Instagram, y'all gonna have to forgive me. The sun is going down, and yeah, so all right. Greetings, everybody. Greetings and gratitude to all my family, friends, and viewers. Welcome back to my African-centered travel vlog right here on YouTube. Guys, today I just want to discuss a financial plan for expatriation. So if you're flirting with the idea of expatriation to Africa, maybe you just want to take a trip, but you tell yourself you can't afford it, right? This is the video for you, because I used to tell myself the same thing too. And so, again, I'm sorry, my name is Akila, and you are tuned into my channel, Expat Diaries. And guys, from this channel, I discuss the logistics of expatriation as an American, my perspective as an American, African in America, expatriating to Africa. And I also, I follow the flag theory. So whenever you get a chance, of course, not right now in the middle of the video, but whenever you get a chance, this is going to be a challenge. I'm trying to do IG and YouTube, trying to read both. I'm gonna have to get my glasses while I'm playing. So, Yeah. Anyway, so you're tuned into Expat Diaries, and this is a channel where I discuss the logistics as an African American um, expatriating to Africa. But also from this channel, I um, show you guys my personal journey of expatriation through humanitarian efforts, reversing the brain drain of Africa through humanitarian efforts. And even though my focus is Africa, like the things that I talk about can literally be applied to any exodus plan. And so um, many people may be asking, like, let me give a disclaimer first. Many people may be asking, like, hey, 2-for-1 twins. I see you. Many people may be asking, like, what qualifies me to speak on this subject. And I think what qualifies me is my years of travel experience to Africa. And also, I used to live abroad in Africa for a short time. And so I follow a lot of expat stories on YouTube. And so the algorithm pretty much knows right now that that's what I look for. And so every time somebody's vlogging about their expatriation experience, um, I get it. And so I've noticed, and I also check the data too, like the polls and stuff. The polls talk about the millions of people, not just Black people, that are moving out of America. But YouTube, I get to see the vlogs and stuff of people's expat experience, and the expats are getting younger and younger and younger and younger. Like literally, I'm seeing 18, 19-year olds that are picking up, leaving their family, everything they know, and expatriating to Africa. Whereas those of us, maybe like Generation X, 30s, 40s, we still trembling. Africa. Oh, you know. So it warms my heart to see the courage of young millennials that's just ready to jump out there and start a new life in Africa. So that's what I feel kind of, qualifies me on the subject, right? So in 2018, I moved to Ghana, and in less than 6 months, I was back. I was back because of improper planning, right? And I'm seeing a lot of the new expats and stuff kind of making the same mistakes that I made. So I'm feeling like, okay, well, this is my target audience. I can help some people because I've been there, done that, right? And y'all have to forgive me. I told you I'm reading the script. So over time, I realized like very few Africans from America expatriate to Africa on a work visa. Africa's having an unemployment crisis, right? And so the odds of us going there and finding a job is very slim. Does it happen? Yes, but it's rare, right? Most of us go on a tourist visa. And so over time, I realized I literally, if you're familiar with Mama Imicus of One Africa, One Africa is a resort in Elmina, Ghana. And I used to like stay up the road from Mama Imicus. And so we spent a lot of time together, and I was able to pick her brain. And if you know her story, if you're familiar with her story, she's been there. Um, well, now she's in Rwanda. She's moved from Ghana. But she, at the time, had been there over 30 years, and she had just gotten her citizenship there in Ghana. And so I was able to kind of pick her brain about her experience. And what I noticed, not just her, other expats, right? Literally at that time, there were a lot of expats from America in Ghana. But since the year of return, baby, it's a whole lot more. So what I noticed over time is that the people who were able to stay were those who were of a retirement age. And so they had like Social Security, they had like pension plans, retirement plans, and things of that such. They had a steady income. Also, people that were able to stay were those who were able to create a business earning foreign income, foreign currency, right? They had a business there on the continent and they were earning foreign currency. Also, those that are able to create a way to be self employed from the internet, right? They call them digital nomads. But those were the people that were able to stay. And I had at that time neither, right? I had at that time neither of those things. And so my savings depleted. I went with the mindset, like most of us do. You know, you're thinking, well, it's Africa, their currency is lower than ours. And so my money should stretch. And yes, it does. But I'll say this, if you want urban westernized living in Africa, it costs. It costs money. And it can cost just as much money as it does to live right here in America. So strategically planning an expatriation is so important, right? And so I want to talk about how a financial plan basically is. I'm gonna go ahead and take this down, Chad, because I'm not gonna keep. I need my glasses on while I'm playing like I ain't almost 45. But there's a legal process to expatriation, right? And it's more than just getting on a plane and waving bye to America. You know, a lot of us say, well, I'm leaving and I'm never going back. And we're talking out of pain, out of hurt and trauma that we've experienced here in America. But what I've learned over the years is that there is a legal process to expatriation. When people be talking about we slaves to America, unfortunately, it's true. It's true. Like literally, no matter where we move in the world, if you were born here in America and you are an American citizen, Uncle Sam want his money, no matter where you live. He don't care. He'll put you on a short leash, let you move anywhere you want to around the world, but you got to pay them taxes to him every year. And a lot of people think, oh, well, I can just disappear. No, it's not that simple. Not to Africa, you know, not to Africa. Africa ain't the place you want to, and I've coined the phrase the runaway slave approach. Africa is not the place where you want to do the runaway slave approach, right? Because there's such a high level of poverty there. It just functions different, period. And it's just not the place where you think you can just move and fall off the face of the earth. So, um, and part of the reason for that is because you have to have some source of income when you go over there because your savings is going to deplete. And if you don't have an income coming in, again, if you like that westernized living, it's going to be expensive. And before you know it, your holiday will be over. And I call it holiday because that's kind of what it feels like. You know, you get there, you're romanticizing Africa because everything is so beautiful, the nature, the people are so warm and welcoming. And, you know, before you know it, you're celebrating. Oh, look, my life. See, this is my first time trying to handle both of these at one time. And okay, so that's a wrap. IG done went off. Hopefully they'll join us on YouTube. I'll get better over time, y'all, because I plan on practicing these lives more. Um, so yeah, let's get into the financial plan because I done lost my train of thought now because I done messed up and and IG is gone. So creating a financial plan is basically going to be the most important part of your expatriation planning. And it's because a financial plan is going to give you awareness, right? It's going to help you to be mindful of your monthly expenses, like where's your money going? And I don't know about anybody else. I'm speaking from truth. Like there's been times when I wasn't as mindful as I am right now that I would just spend money because I had it frivolously. Bad. I was terrible with money, right? And so a financial plan should start out with an audit. So you basically want to start being mindful, like I said, of what your income is and where is it going. And when you start tracking your money, where is it going, you'll be surprised that you wasting a lot of it. You know, I was that person that would go to the grocery store without a list, without a coupon, without even looking at prices, right? And then I'd realize, oh, okay, well, I'd get back to the house and realize, well, I've basically bought something that I had 2, 3 items of already in the cabinet. Simply because I didn't take a few minutes to be mindful of wasting money. That is exactly what I did. So um, I realized that having a budget plan, and anybody who wants it, I've created a budget plan, and it's an extensive budget plan. It's not like just like your lights, utilities, mortgage, or rent, or it involves your entertainment, your insurances, things that a simple budget plan wouldn't. So, and I'm offering that for free, as well as when I have like an 8-step list of things that you should add to your expatriation plan. If you're already planning, you can at least take this 8-step checklist that I've created and apply it to yours, see what's missing. Maybe you need to add something, take something away. Um, but yeah, basically what I'm talking about is just adopting a minimalist lifestyle when you start looking at your finances and with a fine tooth comb, right? And so the first thing you want to do after you look at how much money is coming in, um, and what you're spending money on, you definitely want to be mindful of, well, how many times a week am I eating out? Um, how many trips to the convenience store on the way to work in the morning? What am I spending during that time that I don't have to? you know Maybe you're a Starbucks on the way to work type of person. That $5 coffee is something that you could do without. you know um Monthly subscriptions, I know, is a big thing for a lot of people. Like, you subscribe, everything is a subscription now. You subscribe, and then you use it that one time and you forget. Next thing you know, they're still charging your card, and you ain't used whatever it was in months. Late fees was another thing that I noticed. Not paying my bills on time, right? That was money that was being wasted. Just frivolously going to different ATMs that wasn't in my network, right? And so you may not think you're wasting a lot of money, right? But when you start adding up all those little ways that you're leaking, and you think, oh, this is just a small leak. No, when you start combing through, mess around and find a hemorrhage, because that's what I did. And so, yeah, it is very important that you create awareness of how you're spending your money. And so, a couple things that I found that were helpful with me tracking what I'm spending, um, because you literally can go to swiping that card, if you like me, and then you even forgot what you purchased in that day. So one, your bank statement is a good thing to help you kind of remember what you're spending, especially if you swipe your card a lot like I do. And also just keeping a daily journal. Oh God, the journal is a power move. Like literally, write down every day what you're spending. And it'll definitely be helpful, excuse me, in letting you know where you're wasting money at, right? So that's the first and foremost um, thing, is to just be mindful of the money that you're spending. And I remember when me and my husband first sat down and did our first financial audit, we were in awe at the money that we were spending, because both of us work anywhere from 50 to 80 hours a week, right? Both of us are workaholics. So we started looking at the money that we were spending on eating out, and it was a ridiculous amount. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's where that money is going. So it is very helpful to start being mindful of how you're wasting money. So since then, we cook at home more, we take our lunch to work, things of that nature, and it's very helpful when you stop the leak, honey. When you stop the leak, I'm telling you, it's a power move. And I find so many people who be like, well, I can't afford to go to Africa like you. No, I bet you if I looked at your finances, you probably could, right? And them same people that be talking about, oh, I can't afford to move to Africa, I can't afford a trip to Africa. They be having the newest iPhone and brand name shoes on their feet and no life insurance policy. And the life insurance policy is 9 times out of 10 cheaper than both of those things put together. It's about priorities, right? It's about priorities and what's important to you, because I'm a firm believer that people spend their time and their money on what is important to them. So if expatriation isn't important to you, you're going to make a bunch of excuses, right? Literally, the data is in. The data is in. And the dominant society is taking data. And they say that we're spending trillions of dollars every year. Not millions, not billions, but trillions every year, just Black people. So if we don't own anything here in America, and we're spending trillions of dollars, we putting our funds in the wrong thing. We put our funds in the wrong thing. And so affording a trip to Africa is feasible for anybody who really wants to do it, if you put your mind to it. So it made me think, like, okay, you think about like a $3 ATM fee. You may not think nothing of a $3 ATM fee because you didn't go to an ATM in your network, right? But then when you add that up, say for instance, you're doing that 3 times a week, that's $9. Say for instance, you're doing that 3 times a week in a month, that's $36. In a year, that's $432. So again, like when you start tracking what you might think is nothing, just a small leak, you'll find out that it's a hemorrhage. So far, if you agree with what I'm saying, drop budget, save, and invest in the chat. Budget, save, and invest, because that's what we about to talk about. So again, I want to add, if you're interested in a free budget plan and the checklist that I'm about to go over after this video, if you go to my YouTube, if you go to my, thanks Ash, if you go to my Instagram, and there's a link to my Instagram on my YouTube banner. So if you go to the YouTube banner and click on my Instagram logo, it'll take you to my Instagram page, And if you DM me and let me know that you want a free budget plan and the checklist that I'm about to go over, I'll be more than happy to email that to you. And I'm also doing expatriation consultations too. Advertising that on Instagram as well. So, and that's for free. I'm really just trying to get information out there, awareness out there, right? And just help people right now. So for a limited time, of course, it probably won't be free forever, but for right now, I am doing consultation calls where you can ask me any questions in regards to expatriation that you have, and then I'll help guide you to the research where you can find the answers to that. And also, I'll be doing an assessment as we're talking of your needs, and giving you some coaching based on what we figure out your needs are. So this is an 8-step checklist, and it's good that these are implemented in order as I read them off, and I'll explain why they need to be done in this order. So, number one is creating a financial audit. Like I said, you want to be mindful where your money is going. Number two, I can't stress enough because, oh God, there's so much stress going on here in America. Like, whatever personal stress you got going on, like, America is doing the most right now. And it just adds to people's trauma. And literally, stress kills. Stress kills. And so it's important that if your plans are to expatriate, that you take care of your health as well, right? You got to be mindful of your health because your health is your wealth. That's number two. Having health and life insurance is important. Number two, having health and life insurance is important. Like I said, your health is your wealth, right? And so, if you have health insurance on your job, if you're working and you don't have health insurance on your job, get the minimal health insurance, something that is preventative, where you just go see a doctor once a year to make sure that you're still in good health, right? Um, we live in America, so there's all kinds of programs and stuff for low income people for healthcare, right? Even if you have to go, like, most county hospitals in America have clinics all over your city or whatever. And so those clinics offer healthcare to people. Like, whatever you got to do, make sure that you are checking on your health. Life insurance. We're going through where we're coming out of a pandemic right now, and so many people it caught so many people off guard that did not have life insurance. And I hate to see people doing GoFundMe's because they didn't prepare for something that they knew was going to happen. Ain't none of us here forever. It's two things you're going to know you're going to do every day. You're going to be black and you're going to die. So I remember, like, I used to sell life insurance for a short time, and I got so frustrated with it because it was like I had to sell Black people something that they know they need. I don't understand how we can wrap our minds around the fact that you insure things that you value. You know, you put insurance on your car, you put insurance on your home. But when it comes to your life, we tell ourselves all kinds of silly stuff. And it's just irresponsible because nobody knows when their time is up. It's irresponsible to leave your family grieving and have to worry about how they gonna bury you or what they gonna do with your remains. It's irresponsible. And the younger you are, the cheaper insurance is. It's probably as cheap as a meal. So it's just it's a bad excuse not to have that, right? So that's number two. Number 3 is that you want to shift that wasted money into savings, right? So when you start doing your audit and you realize where your money is going and how much of it, you're wasting, you want to start shifting that wasted money into savings. But then even savings has a hierarchy from what I've learned from different financial gurus. So when you start saving, you want to start with an emergency fund, right? An emergency fund of at least $1,000, because a lot of people say, well, I can't save money because I'm living from paycheck to paycheck, and every time I put something away, I have to go into it and for some emergency. Well, that's the point of an emergency fund, right? So $1,000 you put away for an emergency fund for if your car break down or you lock your keys in the car, any kind of life emergency, you'll have that money set aside for that. And so the second savings that you need to have after an emergency fund is a hardship fund, just in case you lose streams of income, if you lose a job, if you go out of business, you want to have saved 3 to 6 months of whatever your income is. So just in case you lose income, you'll have enough time to get back on your feet without having to worry about interrupting your plans for expatriation. That's number 3, to shift that wasted money into a savings. And number 4 is debt management. You want to start managing your debt before you expatriate. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you you need to pay off 100% of your debt before you expatriate, because I'm not doing that. The only debt that I'm concerned with is, and like I told you, I'm not a financial advisor. So if you think that's bad advice, then it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to pay off 100% of your debt before you expatriate, because in my opinion, the only debt that I am concerned with is the kind of debt that the collector is going to come and get me for it. And ain't nobody going to come across that sea to come get you for no debt besides the government. So that's the debt that you need to worry about in regards to expatriation. And now that we've had this Rona business, it is very easy to get debt forgiveness. So if you're delinquent, child, calling folks and get you a payment plan. Call. If it's student loans, IRS, call them folks and get you a payment plan, because it's now easier to pay off your debt than ever before. You can literally get High Sources TV Ghana. Hey. Yeah, so as far as your debt, like, it's easy to get a payment plan right now. You can even, and if you've already had a payment plan and you're struggling, it's easy to get your payment lowered to $25, $30, even down to zero if you really struggling, and they'll hold off payments for a whole year. They just want to know that you acknowledge that you have a debt and that you're trying to pay it, right? So payment plans is a good way to manage your debt. Also, snowballing. Snowballing is a strategy where you list your debt from largest to smallest, and you start with the largest, like, consistently every payday. You put a certain amount and pay and pay and pay until you pay it off. And then you go down to the next largest and you do the same thing. Every payday, you pay and pay and pay something on it until you pay it off, until you have paid all of your debt off and freed yourself from financial slavery, basically. Also, I want to add in regards to debt management, it's important in regards to expatriation, because if you leave here owing the American government more than $50,000, they will revoke your passport. And you don't want them to revoke your passport while you're out of the country. And then you have no way of getting back in. So That is definitely not a good thing. Number 5 will be creating multiple streams of income, right? So that may be a side hustle. That may be second job. That may be creating a product or service. But we are long from the days where we could work one job into retirement for wealth. Like, yeah, people not doing that no more. People not doing that no more. People are having passive income to go along with their active income, right? The way of the future now is to stop trading your time and energy for money. We want to get to a place where we're able to make money while we sleep. And that's what I mean by passive income, right? So you definitely want to start making money more than just one way. Number 6. Number 6 is to invest. Invest to generate generate revenue. And I don't know a whole lot about investment, so I'm talking like on a small investment. Like if you're working a 401k at your job where they'll match what you put into it, you know, Roth IRAs, annuities, real estate, crypto, stocks, all those are ways to invest, right? Number 7. Number 7 is after you've built that wealth, you definitely want to look into asset protection. And when I say asset protection, I'm talking about like offshore trusts, private vaults, because that's what the dominant society does, right? They move their assets out of the country. I know if you follow this type of information, I know you didn't heard about the Facebook Zuckerbergs and them type of folks who done moved their assets out of the country. And that's what they do. They hide their assets out of the country in private vaults and offshore trusts away from the jurisdiction of America so they can't be taxed because tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion will get you some jail time. So yeah, whatever you build, you must protect it. So asset protection, number 7. And last but not least, number 8, you want to have a will. You want to be able to, again, we're not going to be here forever. So once you build that wealth, you definitely want to be able to leave it to someone to inherit. So having a will is important. Okay, so we're about 38 minutes into this live, and that concludes the 8-step checklist. But I also wanted to go over this video that I found. There's a video that I found on YouTube, and I wanted to play this interview between two millionaires, two European millionaires, talking about expatriation from America. And I just wanted to play it. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. I need to turn on my Bluetooth. I forgot.
Power on. Bluetooth. Pairing. Bluetooth connected.
Ha ha ha. I'm back. Okay. I done lost some people too. It's okay. Those who need the information are here. Yeah, let me play this video right quick. I want to play this video because I found this information so intriguing when you start following other people, right? Other people groups that are expatriating. You find some really interesting information. And so before I do that, I better read this copyright thing too, because y'all know YouTube, they'll be trying to take my little video down.
People information, and we would need to.
Okay, so there it is, but let me read this Copyright Act. Okay, so copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1997, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips that balance in favor of fair use. Okay. So this is a guy named, you can research him on YouTube. I've actually bought one of his books too. God, what is this guy's name? Damn, I done forgot the man's name. I told y'all I can't remember nothing. That's all them days of smoking ganja back in the day. I ain't gonna even lie. Okay, so anyway, the name of his channel is called Nomad Capitalist. Andrew is his first name, I think. Yeah, Andrew. Okay, so he's interviewing this other millionaire expat. Now, Andrew expatriated from America a few years ago. And he has a good channel with a lot of information. And so he's interviewing this other millionaire that also expatriated from America. And so let's listen to what they have to say. Found it very, very interesting. If you can hear that, say yes. If you need me to turn it up, let me know.
I'm Andrew Henderson. This is the Nomad Capitalist Report. Many people will tell you if you are not happy, if you're not making enough money, you just want to leave your current country, you should do so, you should go. My next guest has a very unique perspective on not only why you should, but why you must, or else you do so at your own peril. Blake Sawyer's website, escapetheusa.now.com. He's a frequent guest on many radio shows. And Blake, welcome to the program. You have on your website put together a profile. Many of your audience members are Americans. Expatriation, a new idea to them. Walk us through your process of who perhaps is suitable before we get into some of the real juicy meat that you have in your theory.
It's good to be with you, Andrew. I think that there are a plethora of reasons why people would want to expatriate. As they say in the vernacular, there's as many reasons to expatriate as there are expatriates. I think that there's a stampede that's going on right now. I see it because I'm in the industry, if you will. And so I think there's a lot of discontent. Also, I think people realize the world has gotten small, so to speak. No, it hasn't shrunk, but we can get from point A to point B a lot quicker. And people are traveling, and they're seeing that there's other places in the world that are better to live than, say, the United States or Canada or places in Europe.
I just want to expound on what he was saying. He was saying that people are basically moving out of America, what I just said, in droves. And they're finding out that there are other better places to live. Like Black people can be the most patriotic people. Like we are so down for America. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But if you travel outside of America, you will realize that there's better quality of life, better food, better air, better water outside of these borders. But let's continue.
People realize the world has gotten small, so to speak. No, it hasn't shrunk, but we can get from point A to point B a lot quicker. And people are traveling, and they're seeing that there's other places in the world that are better to live than, say, the United States or Canada or places in Europe. Cheaper to live, more friendly, have many more freedoms, less taxes, less obtrusive, a lot of different reasons. So anybody that puts two plus two together and comes up with a reason why they would love to go live a better quality of life, or see potentially some of the things that are coming down in the world, and they want to have security, safety, lot of reasons. There are literally millions of people preparing right now in the United States to leave the United States. That's a statistic that was done by the Zogby poll.
The Zogby poll.
How does somebody, and I always surmise that the United States, a much bigger country, less interaction with other countries, fewer people travel, have a passport, etc. Some of that is a stereotype, but certainly it also rings true in many regards. How, if you're an American, or if you're someone in another country where you feel very comfortable, you've never thought about the idea, how do you know if you're really ready?
Well, one of the articles that I have on the website is a psychological thing that you go through to say, are you ready? And there are some negatives. I mean, let's face it. For in the United States, there are people that will call you a traitor if you leave. Your parents will fight you to taking the grandkids so far away from them. I mean, there are some negatives that you do have to look at. There's the cost expense, and then, you know, is it the same language? There are.
I got a phone call right in the middle. Let me finish playing, y'all. Go ahead and listen.
But that's one of the things about my website. I do believe it is complete. There is a psychological profile that you could run through, and I ask all the questions. Are you ready? Have you done this? Have you done that? Have you thought this through, etc.
God, wait, I'm still live. Why are you doing that?
And then I know that patrons are in the numbers of thousands because I've been doing this for a long time. I would say 95+% of them went through this process. There's some things that they wish they could have done, okay, maybe beforehand or thought other things through, but 95% of them are happy beyond belief. A lot of them say it's the best thing they've ever done in their life.
Give us an example briefly of something someone wishes they would have done.
Well, I think that having I have a list, sort of the shopping list, having somebody that has gone before you and either read their blog or found another expat. If you're an American, you found an American expat that, let's say, moved to Italy or moved to Thailand or moved to South Africa or wherever that you're going. Having somebody else that has already done it, becoming a friend with that person and having them help you go through the hoops and loops. And
I'll just stop right there. I want to agree with what he's saying. What he's saying is that if you are interested in moving outside of the country, find somebody who has already done it, right? Like the first time I went to Africa, I went with one of my good friends. She's now like a sister to me, but she is from Malawi. So, you know, there are plenty of Africans from the diaspora that are, you know, were born on the continent of Africa that live right here in America. And so those would be great people who have lived there before, people who have traveled there before. Those are great resource if you're interested in picking those people's brains and, you know, start there, just getting to know people who've already traveled outside of the country.
What not to do, what to do, taking the time to be able to have that friend, or maybe even a person of the country, the expat country that you're going to, that's going to help you through some of the more difficult things. Expatriation is not easier. There are some countries, Andrew, that are easier than others, but expatriation is not easy. It is a process.
Escape the USA Now.
And Africa is one of those places where it is a process.
.com is the website. Blake Sawyer, my guest. You have a unique perspective. People who go to your website will find this out rather quickly. A unique perspective on where to go. We talk about capitalist elements, perhaps lower taxes, better economic opportunity. Explain your perspective for how someone determines where they're setting sail to.
Well, on my website, I give people choice. I give people information, and we would need a several-hour show to be able to explain it. But there are people that are scared to death that one bite of a mosquito, they're going to drop dead of malaria, which of course malaria is one of the biggest causes of death in the world. I can explain to you where to avoid the earthquakes, the volcanoes, the natural disasters, or ruthless governments, or governments that are not really acceptable of some expats. Or for the people themselves, I give people a wide variety of information so that they can put in their own personal beliefs where to go and how to get there. And certainly the financial thing is a biggie. If you're dirt poor, yes, you can still expatriate, but you're limited on the amount of countries that you can expatriate to. If you're filthy rich, I mean, if you went to Switzerland, you have to be a multimillionaire to get there to live the same lifestyle that you would if you were in the United States. I give all that information. So it's varied and it's variable and it's personal and it's a personal.
And if that sounds like information that you're interested in, what he's talking about, he can help you. He's not talking about, I think South Africa was the only country that he mentioned in Africa, but he basically was saying his book goes over different things that people complain about as far as expatriation. Like a lot of people are afraid of malaria. He can kind of direct you in that path. But the guy's name is Blake Sawyer, if you're interested in his book.
Choice.
Give us a profile. Someone is an average middle-class person. Perhaps they run a small business. Perhaps they're looking to have an internet business. They're looking to build something where they can be mobile. Just kind of give us a profile. What are the things that you see coming?
Internet business.
And what might be some of the possible remedies? One example.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. It's one of the biggest, more frequent questions that's asked to me. I really do believe, Andrew, that it's not necessarily what is coming, it's what has already taken place. If I took one country and compared it to the United States, just on the economic issue, GDP versus debt ratio, the amount of mortgages, the country that I have my second home in, my expatriate home, only 3% of all the homes in the entire country are mortgaged. And people live within their means. There's no credit card debt. It's just completely opposite. They have free healthcare. They have free education. I mean, college, all college universities are free. It's a completely different society in 100 different ways. And so comparing financial things, it's black and white. The United States is the greatest debtor nation on earth. It has the most laws. You try to be an entrepreneur in the United States, it's incredibly difficult. I mean, in California, they say it takes 2 years to even start up some, fast food restaurant. Well, in Texas, it might take 30 days. There's some comparisons there, but it's like that in comparing the United States or Canada or let's say Spain, Greece, a lot of Europe as well too. There are places that are welcoming, that are easy, that are free, that are just different, completely different quality of life, very high quality of life. Most Americans don't understand it. They think they're the best nation on earth. They're number 25, 30, 40, 50 in a lot of these categories.
So give us the metric, give us the categories metric. Explain kind of your philosophy towards what are these indices that you're basing this off of.
Okay, well, I really do believe that a society that lives and lets live, where there's not a left right paradigm.
I don't think y'all can see that.
Turn them in,
the glare is too bad. I was trying to show you.
Right, behave left. There's a few places where you can be black and the whites don't hate you, and you can be white and the blacks don't hate you, or you could be left and the right doesn't hate you, and vice versa. There's no racism or this tension. Freedom of laws.
I'll disagree with him there, where he was saying that when you move outside of America, people are more friendly and more freer, and you don't have to deal with racism. Racism is global, but I just feel like when you move outside of the country, you realize it's not as blatant as it is here in America.
I think that's a big thing. The United States, I believe, is super overregulated. In fact, I believe that almost everybody's a criminal. Yes, Andrew, you're a criminal. I'm a criminal. When they want to kind of get us, they're going to round us up. I think that's another thing. I think there's a lot of Americans that look at the United States now as a big militaristic country, and the world. If you read the writings and the understanding of the world, the United States is the biggest warmonger in the world. It's the greatest.
United States is the biggest warmonger in the world. These are the dominant society talking about this now. These is Europeans saying this. America is the biggest warmonger in the world.
World peace. There's a lot of people that want to be away from that. There are 100 categories that we could go through, but I think debt and a culture of debt, I think disease, obesity, why are not everybody in the world, 65% of their population obese? The United States is a culture of drugs and disease and obesity and health problems, etc. There's places you can live where, because of the culture, you don't have diabetes, you don't have cancer, you don't have heart attack, you're not overweight, and you're healthy. There's hundreds of categories. Really, truly, Andrew.
Blake Sawyer, my guest.
Okay, so that's part one.
Very unique perspective, targeted perhaps towards Americans.
I want to hit part two right quick. It is not that long, about 5 minutes. I find it very interesting when Europeans talk about expatriation the same way that we talk about the same complaints that we have about how terrible America is getting.
Blake Sawyer's my guest. He has some very interesting opinions on expatriation and where you should move. Blake, welcome back. I wanted to get into some specifics, kind of lay out some of the categories, things people should be looking for, especially people who live in the United States or other countries where they say, this is the best it gets.
I have a personal belief system that there's a cabal of people that want to bring about global government. They want to run world.
I don't know if you caught that, but he says that he believes that there is a cabal of people that want to bring about a one world government.
A food authority, water authority, one world financial system, etc. And they're manipulating sort of things to be able to bring this about, putting all the pieces together. And I feel like I can really see the future fairly clearly. I think that what people really that are aware, astute, and educated, they're seeing these things transpire, and they want to go live in a safe haven, someplace that is going to be safe from nuclear war and potential calamity, whether it's famine, disease, ruthless governments, genocide, which is the leading cause of death in the world today. Governments killing their citizenry.
Did y'all hear that? Governments killing their citizens. Like that's an issue. That's an issue. And America is top on the list for it. Like literally, America do the most. Like police brutality is everywhere. But outside of this country, do people worry about being unsafe in their own home? Somebody busting up in your house and shooting you on your couch while you eating ice cream in your underwear? Talking about, oops, I thought this was my apartment. Do that happen outside of this country? No.
The thing is, a lot of expatriates, they just want to go live on a beach somewhere with palm trees swaying in the background. I call that jumping from the frying pan into the fire. I have a perspective, go to some place that is safe. There's a few really super safe places on the planet.
There are certainly several categories of expatriates. There's the retirement type expatriate or the business on the beach candidate, and there's the larger city type expatriate that go for economic purposes to Hong Kong, what have you. You're saying now there's a third category, which is people who want to escape more vile consequences.
Yes. And I think that the handwriting's on the wall, so to speak. I think people see this. Like I provided quotes by the world's leading people. I mean, from Ted Turner to Queen Elizabeth's husband, Jacques Cousteau, you name it. There are hundreds of people that we need to reduce the world's population down to a manageable 500 million people.
Reducing the world's population. Everybody talking about this.
Andrew, you're on the list they want to keep. Neither am I. I should be, actually, how I discovered this. I developed a protocol decades ago, but the government and all the powers that be came in to shut this information down, not letting this information out. And that's what woke me up to the reality. I have put together a website that has 100 survival categories. 100. I put every one of the 200 countries in the world through those 100 categories, and there's a rating system. And so there's the best, number one, it's the most points, if you will, and there's the 200, the worst survival category. I can still live in a first world country. I can still live a very high quality of life.
Give us an example. Give us kind of the scope of the United States as a benchmark. Give us some examples of what people should be looking for.
One of the things that I think your listenership would be interested in is just the difference between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Let me give you the facts, which is real quick. 90% of the world's population lives in the northern hemisphere. Only 10% lives in the southern hemisphere. only included the countries that are totally wholly in the southern hemisphere, 5% of the world's population. 95% of all the pollution generated in the world is in the northern hemisphere. You think, why is that a big deal? Well, all the air and water in the northern hemisphere stays in the northern hemisphere. Same thing in the southern hemisphere. And people say, but how can that be? There's not some big huge plexiglass 500-mile tall wall that keeps the hemispheres apart. No, it's called the Coriolis effect.
The Coriolis
air does not
effect.
cross the equator, and neither does the water.
Pollution doesn't cross the equator. Did you know that?
You have fresh water. You have clear skies. In fact, 85% of the rainforests in the world are in the southern hemisphere, cleaning out 5% of the world's pollution. In the northern hemisphere, you have this incredible amount of tension. There are wars over religion, food, resources, borders, you name it, ideology, etc. The southern hemisphere, outside of some things going on in southern Africa, is peaceful, it's tranquil, it's quiet. It's completely different. There's a huge, huge difference. I talk about Fukushima because Fukushima is a reality, but if you have nuclear war or Fukushima, whatever, you have circumventing nuclear radiation in the northern hemisphere. None of that will cross the equator and go into the southern
Fukushima, the radiation stuff that they got going on doesn't cross the equator. Like, who knew that? Anybody in the chat? Did y'all know that?
So the southern hemisphere really is the place to go. Of course, the southern hemisphere are the first world countries, the only really first world countries in the southern hemisphere are Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Argentina.
Right. So many people who are from a Western democracy, they look at that, they say, all right, perhaps Australia. I don't know that Australia, from any kind of tax or freedom from laws perspective, is better than anywhere else. Perhaps New Zealand, somewhat. The continent of Africa, South America, they say, there's nowhere I'd really like to go. Where are they wrong?
You put together what is important to you. If you have to have culture, I list all the safe havens that have culture. If you want beautiful scenery, I list all those. I mean, there are so many different categories. You can find a place that is a safe haven. Now, if you're looking at this from the perspective that I do, you want to survive ruthless governments. You want to survive pandemics and epidemics. Let's say climate change. Some people believe in it. Some people don't believe in it. I happen to know that the magnetic field of the Earth is very much weakening, and it's heating up the center of the Earth, and that's why we're having all these problems. I don't believe it's particularly caused by human beings, but I do believe that there's global climate change, and there's going to be a lot of potential disasters because of it. Volcanoes, earthquakes, rising seas, etc. If you want to know where you're going to be able to survive all these things, you can, and you can find a place that is first world. It doesn't have to be a third world country where little kids are around naked and they pee and poop and play in the same puddle.
That was shaded Africa.
It's difficult. Most people are sophisticated and they want some culture, and there are a few places that are first world that you can go to that are going to be viable places to live.
It's an interesting point that you make. Certainly, I mean, you can visualize New York City or Europe or what have you. People go there as tourists. It's hard to imagine a place in South America, for instance, and it's easy to go to the place that they do have the image you described. People are running around naked and we're living in mud huts. In reality, almost every country in the world is somewhere that you could live and you could expatriate to. But for our audience of capitalists, explain how people can go to these places.
No, because I really do believe it's a personal choice. There are people that can go expatriate and they don't have to have a business. There's others that will need to have a business to live the lifestyle they want to live. In this day and age of the internet and entrepreneurship available, there are many countries that invite entrepreneurs to their country to develop businesses.
Africa is one of them. It's called the visa for investment visa.
I will tell the capitalists out there, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're dead, you're dead. Okay, the number one asset intelligent people have is a safe haven property in one of these safe havens. I grow all my own food. I'm off the grid. I live on the property and never leave it. I pay very little in taxes for what the property value is, probably 1/50 of what I pay in the United States. So I believe that there is an answer for everybody to give this information information. They just have to start somewhere.
Like, very briefly, we spoke to the gentleman from Startup Chile earlier. Give us your opinion
It's coming
on
to an
Chile.
end.
Chile is the number 3 survival country out of 200 countries. We're
Okay.
number 3 in the world. It's just that the Chilean people are a little bit cold. Chile is a very narrow country. There's just a very few areas that are really kind of ideal. They have bajillions of volcanoes. They lose about 20,000 people every decade because of earthquakes.
It's an interesting perspective. EscapeTheUSANow.com. Blake Slayer's my guest. He is.
So his book is Escape the USA Now. That ought to speak volumes right there. I'm gonna close, but I just want to close with a thought that expatriation doesn't mean the same thing for everybody, right? And I think we need to move away from the idea of expatriation looking like some type of slave movie where we get on a boat and wave bye to America and never come back, right? To me, that's not really realistic, and I've found that out over time. My idea of expatriation after years of travel and living on the continent and just making mistakes and, you know, all of that experience that I've had, my vision of expatriation, now that I've started looking at more of the way Europeans expatriate, it looks like me having several homes in several different African countries, right? With assets in several different African countries. So that doesn't mean that I'm never coming back to America. No, I'm an American citizen with a whole lot of family here. So never coming back is not realistic to me, right? And I want to encourage those who have been there and you were in the same situation where you ran out of money and you had to come back. Just start rethinking about what expatriation means to you. Expatriation doesn't necessarily mean, again, that you're going to get on a plane, wave bye to America, and never come back. Maybe you can go for a sabbatical, right? Where you just save enough money to go and take off work or school for a year, right? That year will give you enough time and you've saved enough money to be strategic with your planning. That the informed decisions is what it's about, being strategic with your planning. So say for instance, you just wanted to take a sabbatical. And during that year, you're doing your research while you're on the ground. Unfortunately, Africa is not a place where you can do a bunch of online research. You have to do a grassroots field, boots on the ground type research of what it takes to expatriate. Again, expatriation is a legal process. Like literally, if you leave the country and you stay there for a while, really you're just taking up residency in another country, right? To completely expatriate, right? People renounce their American citizenship. There's a whole ceremony and a fee that you have to pay to renounce your American citizenship. So expatriation has a lot of avenues and it doesn't have to be done all at once. Like I said, you can take a sabbatical for a year, do your research, come back, you know, re-strategize, and then make a plan. So again, I just want to encourage, because I know I've got some young people in my family that are showing interest in moving to Africa or doing business in Africa or visiting Africa, right? And so it just takes strategic planning. And if it's something in your heart that you really want to do, you can do it if you put your mind to it. And it's not hard and it's not expensive. Like literally, there's so many places now that even your plane ticket used to be the most expensive thing for a trip to Africa. Plane tickets are not even expensive anymore because they have places now that will help you with payment plans. That will help you with payment plans for your ticket. So literally, get with someone who's already been there that you can pick their brains for information. But if it's something that you want to do, you can do it if you put your mind to it. And it's not hard and it's not expensive. And it doesn't have to be done all at once. You do it on your terms, in your time, when you feel like it. You may want to start off going to Africa building a business, right? You may not want to stay in Africa. You may just want to build some wealth in Africa. Now, of course, that's going to take you being on the ground for a while to set that up, but you may just want that as a stream of income, foreign currency as a stream of income. You can do it if you put your mind to it. So I wouldn't worry about the world ending and all that. And we all at that moment. So I wouldn't even worry, even put any energy into the world ending and I need to hurry up and no, you need to make a strategic plan, especially if you're talking about going to Africa, because there's a level of poverty there that you might find yourself like, seriously. I've been and I'm re-strategizing because I used to tell myself, oh, I just want to get out of here. It's just so much stress. I just want to get out of here. I'll be willing to fetch water. It says my connection is unstable and they're reconnecting. I better go ahead and end because YouTube is tripping. But yeah, end all of my videos, guys. Black love is black power. I believe that our power is in our love and respect for one another. Working to please like, please share, and I'll see you in the next.